Hey there, third grade. We are going to be starting today on page 77. So go ahead and take out your math book. While you're doing that, I'm going to talk to you about what our lesson is for today. So, page 77, we're going to be doing lesson 3.1. And our focus today is on the distributive property. All right, the distributive property. We're going to talk a little bit about that vocabulary word in just a moment. But at the end of the day, we want to say, I can break apart unknown facts into known facts and solve multiplication problems. So our goal for today is to take a multiplication problem and break it into smaller, easier facts. So let's go ahead and turn to page 78 and get started on our lesson for today. On page 78, we're going to go ahead and read our word problem, and then we're going to take a look at our facts. So it says Maria wants to set up 7 rows of 4 chairs for a meeting. She wants to know how many chairs she needs, but does not know the product of 7 times 4. And product is one of our vocabulary words. It means the answer to a multiplication problem. So we can use known facts to help us find the product of something that's unknown. So if we don't know 7 times 4, well, what can we do? That's the question that we've got for today. Can we take this 4 times 7 and break it into some numbers that are a little bit easier for us to work with? So we're going to take a look at box B, and I'm actually going to build that for us as we take a look at it. So we look at box B here. It says Maria thinks of 7 rows of 4 chairs as 5 rows of 4 chairs and another 2 rows of 4 chairs. So she took her 7 all together and broke them into a group of 5 and a group of 2. And I've built that for us right here as well. All right. So you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 chairs in each row. And then she wanted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2. And the reason for that is a lot easier for us to do when we take 5 times 4 and 2 times 4. All right. These are simpler problems that Maria can now solve. All right. And so we're going to go ahead. I'm going to write this in here, and then we'll take a look at box C. But 5 times 4, well, 5, 10, 15, 20. All right. And then 2 times 4, 4 and 4 is 8. Then we take those two numbers together, 20 plus 8, and we would find 28 as our total answer. Well, let's take a look at box C as we look at this played out there. All right, so box C says the distributive property, and anytime we see those yellow words, we know that's a vocabulary word, right? The distributive property says that a multiplication fact can be broken apart into the sum of 2 other multiplication facts. Sum means we add those 2 parts together. All right. So what we did on the other page is right here is, again, 5 times 4 and 2 times 4. So we had 7 times 4 and we broke it into 5 times 4, 2 times 4. Just like on the other page, we found out that 5 times 4 was 20. And we found out that 2 times 4 was 8. So here's our 20 and our 8. That's where those came from. And if we add those 2 parts together, we get 28. So 7 times 4 equals 28 because we can break it into these different parts. And that means that Maria will need those 28 chairs. All right. Well, let's go ahead and turn to page 79 and get started on our guided practice together. And then we'll jump into some independent work. We're going to start over here with number 3. We'll come back to 1 and 2 in just a moment. But when we take a look at number 3, it says that we can use smaller arrays and the distributive property to find each missing factor. And we can use counters to help. So we've got our counters drawn out here for us. So our original problem was 4 times 8. I can see that we've split it into 2 equal parts here, right? So my question is, well, how many rows do I have? Well, I've got 1, 2, 1, 2. How many are in each row? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So my multiplication fact is 8 times 2. And then down here, I've got the same number. So it's 8 times 2. So when we look down here, oh, what was my original problem? Well, it was 4 times 8. And then what's the next part? Well, we broke it into 8 times 2 and 8 times 2. So blank times 8. Well, 8 times 2 is also 2 times 8. And then they've got plus 2 times 8. So we just took our 4 times 8 and broke it into 2 parts because this is a little bit easier for us to work with. Rather than trying to figure out all 4 at once, we can do that and then figure those out by adding them together. All right. Can you go ahead and try out number 4 on your own? So I'm going to have you pause the video right now. Try out number 4. All right. Do that one. Put a little star here for us. Do this one on your own. So we got to figure out what did we start with and then what did we break it into. Pause the video and do that now. I hope you paused your video and solved that problem. We're going to go ahead and get into it. So what did I start with? Well, I started with 3 times 5. So that's the first thing I'm going to write. 3 times 5. And then I can say, what did we break that into? Well, I can see we've got a gap right here, right? So how many are in my first row? Well, there's 1, 2 rows. How many is in my next row? Just 1. How many are there going across? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 times 2 and 5 times 1. And again, we can flip those around because that tells us with our associative property, right? So now I can look at this and say, all right, well, here I see 1 times blank. Well, 1 times 5. And that means my other one is going to be 5 times 2, 5 times, and I can put my 2 in there. I hope that's what you were able to solve as well. Well, let's go back over. Now that we've got that, let's take a look at number 1. It says Raphael broke up an array for 6 times 3 into 2 new arrays. I'm going to underline 6 times 3, and then I'm going to underline 2 new arrays. Both of his new arrays are the, and underline, same. Why did I underline those important pieces? This is the numbers that I'm starting with. I know I need to break it into 2 parts now, and those parts need to be the same. So I'm going to go ahead and draw this out. Just like we were using over here, I'm going to use my own drawing. So here we go. So I'm going to start with making a row of 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do this with me. All right. And I need 3 of those rows. So I need 3 rows of 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So here's 1 row. Here's another row. I need 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. There's 1, 2, 3 rows. And in each row, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, it says we need to break it so that they're into 2 equal groups because the 2 new arrays need to be the same. And when we have an array, we know that means that there is the same amount in every single row, all right, or every single column. So how can I break this into 2 equal parts? Well, I can't cut it across this way, can I? No, because I'd be cutting all of these in half, and I can't do that. So I know I need to cut it the other way. So let's see. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I see what I can do. I can break this into 3 and 3, 3 and 3. They're 2 equal groups. All right. What are my new arrays? Well, I've got 1, 2, 3 going across, 1, 2, 3 going up. So this is 3 times 3. 1, 2, 3 across the bottom. 1, 2, 3 going across the top. So that's 3 times 3. What were the two arrays? 3 times 3 plus 3 times 3. All right. Now, before I go on, I'm not actually done because just like over here, we want to put our parentheses around the 2 arrays that we just created. So I actually need to put a parenthesis around each of my 3 times 3s. All right. All right, let's take a look at number 2. It says, Anne broke up a large array into 2 smaller arrays. The 2 smaller arrays show 1 times 8 and 4 times 8. What was the large array that Anne started with? All right, so let's go ahead and do it. So I need 1 row with 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's my 1 row. Now I need 4 more rows. So I don't get lost. I like to do 1, 2, 3, 4. I like to make those first, and now I know I need to just keep them in all of their rows. So now I can go ahead 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. I had my 1 row, and then I had my 4 rows. In every single column, I have or in every row I have 8, and I have those different columns. All right, let's check it out. So here's my 1 times 8. Here's my 4 times 8. Now I can ask the question, well, going all the way across the bottom, how many do I have? I have 8. Across, going from top to bottom, how many do I have? Well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here I have 8 times 5. What was the large array that she started with? She started with 8 times 5. That would be my answer here. All right. Before you get started on your own, I want to just jump down to the bottom because there's one more. So these two look similar to what we did for numbers 3 and 4. But now I want you to come down here real quick because these ones look a little bit different. They don't have the arrays for us. You can always grab a spare piece of paper and draw them out if you want to. But let's just take a quick look here, okay? So in this problem, I see that I've got 6 times 8. All right, 6 times 8. And I'm going to make this equal, so I need to break those into equal parts. So I see I've got 4 times something plus 2 times 8. Well, that tells me right now that my 8s are going to stay the same, and my 6 is going to break into 2 equal parts. So let's see here. This 6 turns into 4 plus 2. That's what I broke it into, because 4 plus 2 equals that 6. I'm just breaking it into 2 easier parts for me. All right. My 8 stays the same, though. I'm not breaking that one apart. So that means my 8 stayed here, and I need to make sure my 8 goes right there also. All right. So it's a little bit trickier, a little bit different. I want you to go ahead, pause your video right now, and try out number 9 on your own, and then I'll go over it and look at the same way. Same steps we just did that one. How are we going to do this one? I hope you pause your video. We're going to go over number 9. All right. So for number 9, I see I've got 3 and 2. I've got a blank here, and then I've got a 7, and a blank. Well, if this is a 7 and this is a 7, this is also going to need to be a 7. Then I can look at my other 2 parts and say, well, what did I find here? Well, 3 plus 2 equals 5. Can I break 5 into 3 plus 2? I sure can. So my answer is 5 times 7 is the same as 3 times 7 plus 2 times 7. All right, well, you guys did a great job working with me today. Remember, these are arrays. We are using the distributive property to break our arrays into equal parts so we have some easier multiplication problems for us to solve. Thanks so much for working with me today. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you next time.